You're still watching Tea or Coffee, and the conversation continues. We're still looking at the impact of school feeding on students in education. And now we have a guest, a very important guest, as I might say, that will help us to understand and break down this conversation a lot more. She is Temitope Onofowokon Fesobi. She's a chef and a teens manager. Good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning.
You look very radiant in this photo. I love it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So, when the producer said to us that this is the conversation that she wanted to have, that she wanted to look into, school feeding and whatnot, I was like, listen, I have the person, and I had to request for you to be on the show this morning. Thank you very much for coming. How are you doing?
I'm very fine.
So what experience do you have, when it comes to school feeding?
The school feeding, it's, it has its pros and it has its cons also.
Okay.
School feeding, I would say it's good. And it can be bad also.
Okay.
Reason why I said that is because of coming from the health standpoint now. From the health point of view, school feeding is very good if the school has a nutritionist in the school or someone that is a dietetics in the school that can tell them about what the diets and all those stuffs are to be. And then they can have timetables and all those stuff. When I was growing up, we had timetables in school, and there was a time that the school was free. When I was in primary 1, primary 2, the school was free. The school food was free. We just go to the canteen, we take our plates, and they give us food. We eat. But when I got to primary 2, going to, I think, 3rd term of primary 2, we started taking money to school. Then they will give me 3 kobo. Then I'll put some in the plates. I'll put maybe 1 kobo, or I think half kobo into a plate. And they'll give me food, and I'll still get fruits. Right. And then growing up, I realized that we're giving food and fruits. No junks.
No biscuits.
No biscuits, no cakes, no sweets. If you wanted biscuit or sweet, or you buy it yourself, they won't give it to you from the school. And then, based on my own experience, I trained in different schools on food making and all the other stuffs, and then do a lot of things like that. But when I go to the schools, at times I purposely enter their kitchen to see what they are doing and what kind of food they are giving the children. There are some schools that you find that they are so particular about healthy meals. There are some schools that don't really care. And it's not their fault, it's what they know. You can't give somebody what you don't know. Like some school, I see them use glutamate seasoning to make food for the children. And glutamate seasoning is very bad for the health. In fact, it makes the brain to be so excited that it bursts the brain cells. And then at the end of the day, the brain cells is dead. And at the end of the day, the brain that you feel is working well, the reason why you're giving the child food is for the child to learn. The child cannot learn because there are some things wrong in the brain. And then we complain. And then at the end of the day, you find that they are not even giving them fruits like before. Maybe fruits once in a week. Then they call it fruit day. That's what they do in some school. They have a fruit day just once in a week. Whereas before, it was every day we had fruits. Any fruit that is in season, we must eat the fruits. So
it seems that sometimes for some schools it's better they don't even feed than give them, as you said.
Because they don't know. But there are some schools that I've been to that the proprietors, there's this particular school, I'm not going to mention any name right now. The proprietress is so particular about the food you bring to school. Even if you are going to bring food from home, she will tell you no noodles, no bread. She will mention all the food. You can't bring it to the school and say you want to give the child, because she will tell you all the health hazard of the food that you are bringing for the child. So why do you want to bring that kind of a food to school? So she does school food. She'll say if you are going to bring that, then just do school food straight. And our school food is not so expensive. Then I think it was 10,000 for a term. I know that it will have been a bit higher now because food is now a bit expensive now. 10,000 for a term. If you're cooking from home, you will spend more than 10,000 in a term to feed your child. And then she makes sure that she has a nutritionist that tells them the timetable. Every 2 weeks, she changes the timetable of the school. When I saw all that, and I was teaching our students on catering and all those stuff, and I was like, wow, this is very nice.
Yeah, you know.
But some schools, they're not even interested. And then when I get to their kitchen, I went to the kitchen, and when I got there, I found out that there was no glutamate seasoning in the kitchen. I was not like, how? She said because when she learned abroad, she went to school abroad and all those stuff, she found out that in abroad, they don't use all those things to cook their food. They use natural herbs and all those stuff to cook their food. So she decided that when she's going to start her own school in Nigeria, she's going to incorporate that in her school, and she'll make sure that parents don't give their children junks, and then they will come to the school and say their child is sick or something, because most of these things make children to be sick. Like you will see that recent times we find children having diabetes, which wasn't like that before, having high blood pressure, obesity, and all those stuff.
And this is because of all the things that they're actually consuming.
Exactly.
All right, so that actually leads me to the next question. You know, when Yemisi and I were having this conversation, looking at views from the net, we saw that a lot of people, some people like the idea of school feeding, but they can't buy into it because they're not sure what kind of, so they don't trust the schools. They don't trust the schools to feed their children adequately. How, in your experience with school feeding, how are you able to earn the trust of parents, essentially, so that they know that you're actually caring for their child?
Actually, some parents that say they don't trust the school, I don't trust them either. You know why? Because they don't even know what is LD.
Interesting.
You don't know what is LD, and you're going to the school that they're giving you something LD, and you're condemning it. Number one, you give your children white flour to eat, pastries every day. You're telling me it's LD. You give your children bread every morning, afternoon, night, and you're telling me you are giving the child an LD meal? I'm sorry, it's not LD. So from the health standpoint, you don't even know what is called LD. So why should you now go to the school that at least they are doing their best to do something? Yes, if they're not adding a little thing, we can now call the government to put a check and balance to the school stuff that, okay, this thing is causing problem, and we need to find a way of curbing it. I like Dora Akunyili when she was alive. There are lots of things that she put in check. There are some things that cannot just be in the food that we eat. Before you even start selling the food to make it public for people to start buying and all those stuff, there are some things that you will have gone to NAFDAC to check, and they're like, this one cannot go. But now you find out that they don't even get to the NAFDAC in the first place. Even when they get to NAFDAC, you see, because of the policy and all those stuff, corruption everywhere. They will still get to sell those things. And then in schools, at times they give them, in school, they don't give them fizzle drinks. They give them water. But you are bringing your food. You are saying, I don't trust the school food, but you give your child fizzle drinks to take to school. All right,
I want us to picture something. I want you to help me picture what an ideal meal plan for a child would be in school. So I want you to help me picture what should be. So like a bottle of water, I'm guessing would be there. So what else should, for instance, be on the plate of this particular meal?
Fruits.
Okay.
And vegetables.
Okay.
The once in a while you take like the fruits, we can have fruit salad or vegetable salad. They're not expensive. I do cooking, and I know that they're not expensive the way we think. Because the fruits you're going to buy for a number of people, like let's say 10 people, by the time you're buying it, you give it to 10 people. You can even give it to more than 10 people.
You can dice it.
Yes, because you're going to dice it and make it into fruit salad. Then you have timetables. There's fried rice, there's jollof rice, there's yam, there's beans, there's porridge, there's plantain, there's eba, there's fufu, there's amala. In schools nowadays, I realize that they don't eat swallows. But there are some schools that they give them swallow. The school I was talking about, they give them swallow. They have a day for swallow. Every Thursday is swallow. They give different types of swallow. And the timetable is once in 2 weeks, they change the timetable. And they let the parents know that they have changed the timetable. And then, you know, some parents are afraid that, oh, my child is allergic or stuff. They can let the school know that my child is allergic to this and this and that. My own children, they are allergic to eba. When they get to school, they don't. When it's school food time and they need the day they are supposed to eat eba, they don't give them eba. They give them semo.
Okay, so is that they make their food? Because we actually spoke about that as well. They
make their food.
All right.
Like that. It's like it's because we don't really get so close to this, you know, the owner of the schools. You know, when you get so close to the owner of the school and you, like there's a particular school I went one time like that and I saw that they were using glutamate seasoning. They were even using the real one, not the one in the cubes, but the real white one. And I was like, I went to meet the owner of the school that, see, this is not LD. That from my own nutritional this thing that I studied, this is going to be killing the children. But you feel that you're making the children happy because they want, it's sweet. When you use those things to cook your food, it tastes very nice and you are like, oh, this is very nice. But the truth is, it's damaging the brain. So when I went to meet her and I spoke with her and I showed her the reason why she told the children, she said, what can I use? Instead. And I gave her what she can use. I told her everything she could use. And she started using it. But they don't know. Because they don't know, you need to educate them. If you're a parent that knows, educate them. If you are a parent that does not know anything, and you are still condemning the people that does not know anything, then the two of you are the same now. It's just like a blind man leading the blind. The two of you will fall into the ditch because you are saying, my children, they will not eat school food because I don't want... They are not hygienic. Yes, there are some schools that may not be hygienic. If they are not hygienic, you know, before, when I was going to school, they call them, is it wole or something like that. You know, all these are sanitation people. Right, they will come to the school. They will check their kitchen. They check everything. I believe if the government can put that now in place, you find out that the kitchens of each school. And I think that it is on, but it's just like they don't go to every school.
What do you think has changed from your time and now? Because you said in your time you get fruits, you get, you know, you complete meal. So what do you think has changed?
I think what has changed is that when we were going to school, our parents were sane. Now,
we're sane?
Yes, now we decided to be insane.
To be insane?
Yes.
Interesting.
You know why I said that? I'm sorry to say that, actually. The reason why I said that is because we feel that we are taking care of our children and we just hold our children so dear to ourselves. We don't want this, we don't want that, we don't want. And then you go out and then we want to like show class.
Right.
So my child is taking barbecue to school. My child is taking pizza to school. My child is taking, you know, all this junk to school because my child needs to show class. And that is where the insanity came in. But if we are now like, if we became sane like our parents, we realize that eating is not just eating. You need to be intentional with your food, your feeding. You need to eat right. You're like, I want to eat and I want to eat right. And all those things started, you know, it started gradually in 1905. Gradually like that, was seeping in gradually. And now you find that it's so much in the system to the extent that right now, life expectancy for Nigerian is 52 years old.
I saw that.
So that's why you realize that 52 years, you are like, I pray that I will not die now. They are even already sick. Such that terminal diseases and all this cancer and all those things, they were not there like that before until now. And it's happening to children also because we are not giving them the right thing to eat.
So in your opinion, should school feeding be encouraged? As a parent and somebody who, you know, helps to develop these systems, you know, okay, yes, you said school feeding. So what are the pros and cons of school feeding? You know?
Okay, the school feeding should be encouraged. And then there are some things that need to be put in place for it to be okay. That's the sanitation, and all those. If there's no sanitation and there's no nutritionist in the school to help them to set the food, to put the timetable and all those stuff, then it may not be very advisable to do that.
Right.
So I've just said the pro and the con now.
Yeah. Okay. So just on the final note, I just want to know what your work with, because I know part of your work is teaching teenagers, young people, young children, how to actually, fend for themselves, to cook for themselves and whatnot. How's that work going at the moment?
It's really going on fine.
Yeah.
Because what we do is we teach how to cook healthy meals.
Right.
Such that after cooking the healthy meals, after teaching them, we now ask them to do competitions.
And that's where we found the grounding.
Yes, that's how we met.
Yeah.
And then after the competition, they're like, this food tastes nice. And I didn't had any of the things that my mom used to have at home.
Yeah.
And it tastes nice. Then they get home, they're like, Mom, we're not using this. This is what we are using.
Yeah. Amazing.
And somebody has taught me that this is healthy.
Yeah.
So because of that, this is what I'm using. And their parents are calling me, what did you teach my child? And I'm like what?
Yeah.
Said she doesn't want to eat anything at home again. I'm like, oh, sorry.
Wonderful.
I only taught her how to cook well. I taught him how to, make healthy meals.
Yeah.
Both, because it's both male and female that come for my classes. And after teaching them how to do the healthy meals, they are like, they want to get home and do the same.
Yeah.
And they are putting and it's very nice because it's helping their parents to even eat healthy.
Yeah, yeah.
Because there was one testimony I had that the mom had to call me that, okay, my son told me that this and this and this, I can take it for the cancer that I have and it to be calm. And I said, okay, yes, you can take that. But if you want it to work for that, your ailment, this is how you should take it. Not just put it in food like that. You have to take it in a different way.
Okay.
And she did it, and she was, after like 6 to 7 months, she called me and she was fine. So
that's
amazing. Me, I feel it's something nice.
That's one thing I really like about the work you do, and that's why, it was a must for me to have you on the show this morning. Thank you very much for the work you're doing, and thank you very much for coming on the show this morning. So there you have it. We've just been speaking to Temi Tokpe Onofowokon Fesobi on the impact of school feeding on children in education.